Good evening, 7 p.m., April 30th, 2026. I call the Select Board Special Meeting to order. If you're able, please stand for a pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'd ask everybody to please silence your phones. And note that this meeting is being broadcast live on TCTV Cable Station 8 and on the YouTube web platform. A recording will be available on TCTV YouTube at the conclusion of this meeting. Is anyone else recording this meeting? Right, and please silence phones. All right, we're here to hopefully do a final budget discussions and come up with our dollar figures for our motions at town meeting. There'll be $1 figure with the cuts and stuff that the board has made, and then with 0% increase in the school budget, and then with the 2.5, and then a town general fund budget without an override and with override that'll be presented to town meeting. Does the board have any final things or questions on the numbers as far as what we discussed, and is it on the use sheet the way you think we came to a consensus on?
And more, yes, I do. James?
Yes, I am here.
I just want to make sure you were, because I thought mistakenly that you were gonna be here, so I came in early to talk to you, but then I realized you were gonna be on Zoom, so got a question. Let's say it all stems from the sewer department truck. And let's say I'm looking at the sources and uses.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, right at the top where it says real estate, personal property taxes. Is that 50,000 over there for that?
No, that was one of the things I was gonna run by the board to make sure you were comfortable with some of the things that I'd done in the revenue side of things. Again, this was part and parcel of me trying to balance the budget. So 50,000 is additional new growth. So it would be above what the assessor recommends. So I want to acknowledge that they were recommending 60. I added an additional 50 to that. And the reason for that was because if you look at the trend over the last few years, which isn't, a sole indicator, but the trend is much higher than that, usually in the 130s. And if you look at building permits over the last year, which again, the assessors will tell you that's not an exact indicator either, because you can pull a permit and not do the work, or you can pull a permit and do a work that doesn't add value, but it is somewhat of an indicator on how you might do a new growth. And that spreadsheet showed, in the hundreds. So, 130, 140,000 worth of new growth. So that's what that 50 is. It's not for the sewer truck.
Okay, then to continue on that same line, when we get down to sewer direct and indirect cost.
Yeah.
The 2,063,301. If you subtract what's I had in my, budget for sewer. That comes up to 2,013,301. So that, there's the 50,000 in there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not following the math, but yeah, that number includes their budget, their benefits, their pension, and yeah, the truck would be in there too.
On top of that? Okay,
Yeah,
because
should be.
and the reason I ask this is rather simple. Okay, so it appears that we added $50,000 in income up here to cover the, let's say, deduct under capital and debt, which shows the sewer truck at 50,000. But in which that 50,000 in this shows that it's coming out of free cash. And it's actually in the sewer department's budget as supplies. So it seems to be in here twice.
I'd have to pull out their budget. Give me a moment.
Yeah. Cause it's actually right on in the sewer department budget listed under, supplies. There's, last year there was $5,000 in there, this year there was an additional 50,000, and now it says vehicles and parts rather than just parts.
Okay, I'm gonna open up their budget. I thought we had corrected for that already, but let me look.
Seems like we, overcorrected potentially here. Which easy to do with going back and forth. As many times as we have. It's on page 93, if you look at the 5,400 account. They even highlighted it in red. Says up
Right.
50,000 vehicles and parts.
Yeah, right. So I'm looking at, I'm trying to do so their total budget with that is 2,013,000. And when I add up sewer and the expense side with their truck, that comes out to, well, that only comes out to, let's see, I have it. That comes out to 1.4. Oh, sorry. What is this? That's one. 483.
I'm not trying to
Okay.
make you do math here, I just,
Yeah. Well, there's an interest.
something that's definitely in the double.
Sure. Oh, okay. So, all right. So their whole budget. So on tab 5,600. Here's why I'm having trouble adding this up on the fly is because when I open their budget template at 2.13, 2,013,301. That, let's see, let me go up top. 063. Oh, so is that what you were saying was extra? Let me look. I think I see what you're saying.
Just accounting for it in too many places, that's really what's going on here. So,
Yeah, I think you might be right. Yeah, the 50 may have been added to the revenue, so that might be, you're right, that might be high. Unfortunately, I'm gonna need more time to make sure that's correct, so,
I just wanted it on the list of things that need correction.
yeah. I don't know
Okay,
how that happened, but yeah. because their total budget includes everything, including benefits, and then, so the total, I think, should be 2,013,000.
Right,
But yeah, you add 50,000 to that, and it gives you that revenue number, so it's interesting, yeah, that might have been double counted.
okay. Um,
We get that for the number of minutes.
and, the next item that, I have is, I see under the OPEC stabilization, we still have the 464, 500 that we're allocating to the zero override budget. With a surplus of 459, 475. So we need to get that, I believe we should take that out of there. Because I think we will still have a slight surplus with all the cuts still in place. But, I don't really like having, myself, I don't like having the OPEC stabilization actually listed in the account because that takes approval at town meeting by the voters and, you know, that's like putting the override in here. It doesn't really work for me.
Yeah, that would be the call of the board. So right now, when we're looking at the no override budget, and I think this is the one where we have. Is this the one that we have the school flat? Yeah, it's the one we have the school flat from last year, so that shows a surplus of 459.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be up to the board if in this scenario where the school has to keep their budget flat, you have a surplus of 459,000. So it'd be up to you on how you allocate that money. So you could take OPEC stabilization out, and that would save the stabilization fund, and you'd have a small surplus after that. Or if you're looking at the 2.5%, that's less to play with, I guess. So that'd be the prerogative of the board, yes.
Yeah, well, my thought is, and, you know,
That's what we said on the 22nd. The CapEx, I mean, the OpEx, don't stay, take it out.
yeah, okay.
That's what we,
So you good with that? You good with that?
yes.
His budget, his
It might
zero,
get missed when we were back and
Yeah.
forth, but we said to take that, that's it.
so his budget, the first zero. And then this with the flat and then with the 2.5%, either all of it is all with that extra money in it. So if you take out the extra money on the 2.5, you and then if you have to put in those other two jobs, we haven't got to that point, you'd probably be looking at $160,140.
Oh, well, yeah, but we don't know where we,
Right,
you know,
but I'm just saying, if you take that out, you don't have it, and then, the next one, you have nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be nothing to do
well,
anything.
that's what we're trying to see is where we
Oh,
are, I thought,
Okay,
you know.
all right,
You know, where we can get, so that we can figure out what we can do.
okay.
Like I said, I'm one person. Just throwing out
I just-
observations.
I mean, I just feel like we're gonna end up cutting a bunch of stuff out again.
Well, we can always do this. I'm just saying, take it out of this budget line because it gives a completely false number,
Right,
you know? Because that's only a potential number
right,
and it's one-time money that just digs us a deeper hole.
right.
So,
No, but I'm just saying, if you look at the 464,500, and then you look at this one, it's 459,475, which is factored into it, so.
right, so we'll be minus 5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
I know,
I'm just pointing out.
that's why, but we got all the corrections, so I just.
Okay, all right, that's, yeah, you wanna take it out and then try to see if you need to put it in or don't put it in. Got it.
I had that very same question on the OPEC stabilization, cause I had the same note. We had taken that out, but I was seeing it coming back on the revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Mr. May.
So,
Thank you.
so clarifying, so when we're talking about the, no override budget, so just correct me if I'm wrong, no override budget, that means, in addition to these cuts, the school is remaining flat and we're taking the, stabilization fund money out. And that's the, for now, that's the no override budget, correct?
Yes,
My understanding.
Okay, very good.
Just another question here before, you know, there's others, but, did we or did we not reduce, the emergency management stipends?
Yeah, we did.
we went to 0 because we were gonna. I know, I think it shows 250 in there, but we took that out because,
We didn't go to zero.
Anheuser-Busch water.
Did we not go to
One.
750 or 500 for the director and 250 for one, deputy director? And remove the.
That's what I
70?
remember.
That's what I had on my list,
That's what I had as well.
Yeah. I think that's one else.
you know, so that could be adjusted to whatever we determine here to.
Yeah,
Okay, so that was a miss, you're saying? I missed that on this version.
So that 2,500 under emergency management should be 750.
Okay, thank you.
And along the same line as what we were doing earlier, just going down through the sources and uses here. But the sewer pickup truck, we could remove that from the capital and debt also. Since it is in the budget.
All right, hold on one sec. Let me do make a note in the emergency management real quick. Okay, so we're reducing all that to 750, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Got it. So, okay, all
$750 left.
right, sorry, what was the next one we were going to?
The next one is, the sewer pickup truck in capital and debt. Shows a 50,000 there and the 112,000 total, which would be 62,000.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into that to make sure. I know the sewer pickup truck would stay there. I have to adjust the revenue number.
Well, no, it wouldn't, because it's not coming out of free cash, it's in the budget. Under supplies.
Yeah, so what I would do, okay. Well,
Just remove it.
okay,
Sorry, a little tired.
okay. I'm gonna need time to look at that one though, because there's benefits mixed in with their budget. Because when I added up top, the revenue was double counting the sewer pickup. And when I look at their sewer budget, everything all included should be 2,013,000. So I add that plus that. I'll see it. So I can't add it. So I can't add on the expense side because the expense side has the benefits broken out.
It's already in the budget, James. It's literally are in that 1433 number or the total number of the 2,013,301. That pickup truck is in there.
Yeah, it's in the 5,400 account.
Right,
We just talked about that.
under supply.
I understand what you're saying, but when I look at their template, I can't tell what the total is because the total is pulling benefits. So I'm just saying, I just,
Oh, you can't, yeah, on your
I
end,
believe
can-
you, but I gotta
Yes.
look at it, pull it apart.
I got what you're saying. But it will need to be removed. That's all I'm getting at.
Yep.
Yep. And just, let's say initially, that was just it of the, sources and uses, reviewing that. But if we go back to our original review, we asked a lot of, let's say, I'm gonna take the police department as an example. There was the, two of the, let's say, overtime, backfill uses, vacation, personal time and all that, that two of those were cut when, two officers were cut from the, payroll. And I believe there's multiple others that we had asked you to check with the chief to see why and if, why they weren't and if they could be reduced. And, I've not heard anything. I don't know if anybody else has, but I haven't, and that looks to be a, you know, chunk of change that we could use. If it's
So-
not,
Yeah, so I have that if you give me a moment to find it.
okay.
Okay, okay, hold on, I have to find the spreadsheet I did, so I found his note to me, but his note was telling me what the line items would be. And some went up, some went down. So hold on, I had this the other night in a physical form, but. If there's something else the board wants to move on to while I locate the spreadsheet, feel free and we can come back to it.
So, the emergency management, will now have we have an extra $1,750. And then the 50,000 that you guys have been talking about, so, and then if you take out the free cash on the one that's the 8 million. That gives you $56,775 for your bottom end number left. And then if you do the 2.5, you do that, gives you a negative $172.95, $957 for all that.
If I might.
Yeah.
$50,000 for the sewer truck.
Yeah.
I don't believe affects the bottom line one bit because of the way we're moving it in and out. It was put in revenue and it was taken out.
So you didn't count on it?
So we just take it out of both and it's still in the budget, but our numbers pretty much stay
Well, I
the same.
thought you had said that it was put in twice, so I did 100,000. No,
Okay, no, I was mistaken because I thought this was it also up here.
oh, okay, so
I
it
didn't have
isn't,
an
so.
Explanation.
So apparently this number is now 6,755, and then we gotta add 50 on the other side.
Hmm.
Yeah, so the negative's even higher.
Negative now it should be about 32.
Not on the 2.5.
Yeah, because we should have been about 5 behind, about -5, and then we just added 17.5 at the MD, so that would bring us down to about 32. Um. um, There is, while we're right here, and this is gonna be with you too, James, so I don't know how much it's gonna save you any grief. But when we talked, initially about the fire department and their 5110 account, it is my belief that when we instructed, the firefighter boots, the helmets, the hoods, I believe it was the gloves also, that we reduced those to half of what they were originally asking for in quantity. And in the updated version, it was reduced by 2 rather than 5 in each one of those. Which, adds some money.
Yeah, I don't recall, but I'm happy to do what the board's pleasure is.
How much total for that page?
Don't have a number.
Yeah, it was half on those,
Those 4 items.
those items. The boot,
Okay.
the helmets, the hoods, and the gloves.
So, and which budget are you looking at? You're looking at the one that's reduced to 8, so
Yeah,
those would be 5, 5, 5, and, let's say you go 8.
no, I'm just wondering what this bottom number was.
Don't have it.
What can you, give me a second.
Or the-
And while we're on fire, it is also my belief that on the NFPA hose, I suggested cutting in half. I believe Mr. Toth had questions about that. So I believe again, we instructed for questions from the chief. Regarding that.
Yeah, I
I
have a
am not-
response from, I have a response from him. Let me, I believe that's here somewhere. Easier to find than that spreadsheet I apparently made and can't find anymore.
Okay.
Just the one. Nope. Hold on. All right, so the chief's response was, I tried to articulate the question best I could, but I didn't have, the feet and whatnot that you were talking about in the previous meeting, Mr. May. So the chief's response was, I had one of my guys go count our hose. Yes, we have the entire 15,000 feet of fire hose I budgeted to test.
Okay, so we're still testing potentially the 5,000 feet of hose that we were supposed to replace and didn't, well, that we bought new hose for in 2022, but we never got rid of the old hose. Apparently. Because we went from 8,500 feet to 15,000 feet by buying 5, I don't get it, math don't work, but it just seems to be costing us additional money to test pipe that we determined 4 years ago to be in need of replacement. Doesn't make much sense to me. So I guess if we
You're saying
have it,
maybe they kept old hose?
yes, the chief said so right here when he was at the budget, that they haven't had time to go through it. I'm just saying. and that's roughly costing us. If you go even just to 5,000 feet, that's costing us $2,000 a year to test. And just so you know, it is something I've been asking for 4 years. Yeah, I'll give somebody else the chance to lead. How's that? Lead this mess.
Through the chair.
Yes,
It's taking the first four numbers on the 5110 account, just cutting them directly in half. It's $3,575. Off of the bottom line, 28,300. We get a new number of 24,725.
This is what I have.
Thank you, Mr. Templeton.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Well,
Like I'm doing math class.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
we are.
All right, so I found the bottom line number that relates to the police department based off of the gives and takes by eliminating 2 officers. And so it's a net savings of $62,000. Well, $62,478.
And that's below your new updated budget. Correct? It's not included.
Let me see if yes, well, no, that includes, so I changed the police budget to match this.
Good work with social uses. Seeing my old sources and uses match up with the new sources and uses.
Yeah, I just checked the numbers on the police. I checked a few of the numbers. So yeah, the police police template budget matches it matches the changes the chief produced. So like, training police OT went from 63,000 change to 51,000 change and a bunch of others.
Another on the, one of the things that had questioned was on the chief's training dues.
Yeah, that's here too. That's so I don't know, I could read it all to you, but it actually comes out to when he breaks it all down, it actually came out to $11,974.
For the 3
Yes, so
conferences.
yeah, registration, travel, hotel, rental car, food. And so he did that for all, what, 3?
Yeah,
3 plus chiefs in service mandatory training. That one was just fee and lodging. But yeah, his conferences actually came out higher when he broke it out.
I guess the next place that I'd go would be over to Highway. Question I had on that was, well, the questions, I guess. The first one would be on the fuel tank supplies, new hose nozzles and supplies was $600. And I think that one there, we decided to remove originally. If I'm not mistaken, we did leave the fuel pump over here and fuel tank testing and so forth, but this is a number that we allocate every year, and you know, the hoses, nozzles and supplies typically supposedly last at least 5 to 7 years. So it seems like something we could probably bypass. And I think that was our decision back at our first meeting on this.
What is it? What ones are cutting out?
The fuel tank supplies in the 5,400 account, $600.
Yeah, so it's just $600 for this page?
Yeah, that's. All it was just something that was I believe was an oversight. You know, we had a lot going on.
I'm not hearing any disagreement from the board, so I will mark that as 600.
Yeah,
This stuff,
I'm good with that. We did discuss that in the past.
that's what we did. Anyways.
That's all I have for right now, Mr. Chair.
Scratch, you have anything? Other than-
well, I personally don't really have anything, but I see that the assessors are in the audience, and we have a few other members of these budgets in the audience. I prefer to hear from any of them if they have anything they would like to add to what our discussion has been for the last few days. Meetings. Since it's their departments. And they happen to be here.
I think I said it all in the email. I know there's not a whole lot you can do. I just felt that I needed to say the importance of justice and to try to keep our office open. He's probably gonna get mad at me for saying this, but I would hope that he still gets his salary increase. And I'll work with him and Ann on how to keep the office open when he's gone. think it was a generous offer of justice, but I prefer if we can go a different route, that he gets a salary increase.
Mr. Toth?
Yeah, if I may, I don't believe it was ever said he was not gonna get his salary
No,
increase soon.
when-
No, well, let me finish, let me finish.
Yeah,
The discussion was to forego his raise for the part-timer. That's a very noble gesture. That was not what the exercise was about.
no, I understand. That's why I said it was a generous offer. I disagree with him. I just think it was too generous. If Anne doesn't have her extra hours, or however you wanna say it, floating hours, when Justice is gone, then if there's something important going on in the office, then I'll go in. We'll figure out a way.
Understood. Thank you for that.
Mr. Bennett,
Yes.
I only wanted to say, you know, in the email, did you all get the email that I had sent to Mr. May a few days ago back on Monday? Yes,
Yes, your email about.
yes, the
Yep.
email. Like I had said, and I know Sue is, you know, speaking from her position as the chairman. I can't speak on behalf of whatever the other assessors feel or whatever my entire office feels. In terms of what has gone on with the floating hours, I would like to point out, I have consulted with the other department that has floating hours on this, and they know that I could bring it up tonight. The town clerk's assistant town clerk does have floating hours on the books. Our offices work side by side. I wish we were at least notified that something like this was happening. I'm glad that I had the ability to quickly have a conversation with my administrative assistant about this. But I would like to point out the unequalized approach to it. You may not notice that it's floating hours on because every department lists their stuff a little bit differently. And I don't know, just based off of my knowledge of the other departments, if anybody else has floating hours. But I think it needs to be said that when we're talking about this, I don't know what the general approach was. But other than that, you know, I think the board's time and consideration on this.
Thank you. What we were doing, what we've been doing for several meetings is trying to find dollars, ways to reduce, the spending to get as close or to, a balanced budget without an override. We cannot depend on the override. I plan on it failing, so, the 19 and a half hours for the assistant in your office, along with, the assistant town clerk is there for 18 hours a week. It's, but most part-time, are about 19 and a half hours. What we were doing, and this is not necessarily set in stone, we are trying to get to a balanced budget. Technically, we don't have to. We could go to town meeting with a budget out of balance as long as we fix it before you file the tax recap sheet. That's from Mass Municipal Legal Finance Bureau and the Director of Accounts. Not the approach I'd like to do, but we could do that. But we are trying to trim everywhere we could so we could go to town meeting with a balanced budget without an override. If an override happened to pass, and I believe if one would pass, it would be the $2 million one, unless this town really surprises me. And they have in the past. We would not necessarily have to appropriate that entire 2 million. Or even half of it to restore some of the things that we have done, which would lower the cost to the residents. It wouldn't have an effect on the levy limit would still be 2 million plus, but if we only appropriated the general fund budget a 500,000, then that would leave us options down the road. But we were looking to be as fair as possible to try to keep as many people employed as possible. Because that has the effect of lowering our unemployment insurance rates, which frees up some dollars that we don't have to come up with or that we can fill back in. We can always make adjustments to a budget anytime before the tax recap sheet. So the floating hours were there, 19 and a half hours. All departments are gonna have to do it. You have to do more with less, the same as the people who are supplying the money to pay for all of this. So department right now, the 19 and a half hours, it's gonna have to work, unless we find, that in our process, we have some surplus funds that we didn't catch going through this exercise now. 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 5, the initial budget, and then another cut, and then this is the fine and third, like no override budget, or fourth. I'm losing track, but that's where we're at, and that's why we reduced that. It's, if you gotta go into a conference, you plan on, hey, can you work this day? Cause I'm gonna be out.
Right, I've already had that conversation with my administrative assistant. I'm just saying that for the purposes of what you're doing, it wasn't equalized across the board with others that may have those floating hours, so I'm just pointing that out.
But this is the job that we have. It's the biggest one of the year. And again, if we have final numbers and wow, our pencils were sharper than what we thought, and we free up some money, we can adjust it afterwards. But right now, we're just doing everything we can. We're hitting everybody as fair as possible to try to keep as many employees in town and to keep things running. We're just doing what we have to do, with what we have. So,
Can we hear from anybody else? Like we have Parks and Rec, we have TCTV, any of them would like to say something? Not that it have any extra money, but
and we tried really hard, and I believe we have the solution that we would. Two important positions were the people that work on the ambulance. So we've just tried to be as fair as possible and across the board, wherever we thought we could take without as little damage, I will say, as possible. It's what we're doing. So I do thank you for, wanting to give up your raise, but I spoke in favor of the 2.5% staying in place for a couple of reasons. I don't want the same thing that happened with the town clerk that stayed behind for like 10 years. So it's, you whack it this year and then at some point in time, it's going to snowball, and then you've got to come up with a bigger number to try to get department heads based on time and experience close. So I think that was our methodology, and we did talk about it and we did kick it around at our last meeting, but for right now, the 19 and a half is gotta work again, unless we free up some more funds that we at the end of the night or possibly next Monday, if we have to do the final number, but we have to come up with a number, because it's gotta get to the advisory committee for pre-town and a lot of things. We'll just time we don't have. We just have to do what we gotta do to level things out. But I did appreciate your email and it showed you were willing to give up, but you know, we have to do this because this is why they pay us the big bucks. Mr. Mayor.
Another point that I'd like to bring up here that we can change and, in the budget book, buildings and grounds, 5,700. The window replacement for town hall shows $20,200. And the amount that's in the sources and uses, it shows 25. So that's $4,800. That lowers the overall, but doesn't really help with the tax, so
But is that not a budget?
it's a budgeted item and it will lower the overall number.
It's on the warrant listed at 25 though. It's a warrant article.
It's just a 25 on the warrant.
Yeah, it's the 7,000 for the Templeton Elementary School, and then 25.
Yeah. Article 5.
For the windows. Yeah.
Is what we
Yeah.
probably voted. I know it was talked about, but I think we, somewhere in the mix, we bumped it up a little. On the safety,
Just
when we took out
10%, yeah.
the police vehicle and the other things.
I got you. Just look at my money.
Yeah, so that's supposed to come out of that.
Yeah.
That. We can,
Very good.
I have a question, if I may. I'm not-
no, you can be,
No, school's out for the summer.
Here's some,
Yes.
one of my favorites, one of my favorites. Certainly, I don't want to be presumptuous, because we haven't talked about the schools yet, so I know that. And I think we're gonna get to it tonight, as you say, Ben. So, and I'll be here. But I just, it was never, I'm just wondering, and I can certainly wait for the discussion. It just has not come to my attention that a zero level funding from year to year was even possible, right? Was even on the books. I know it came up last meeting. I'm here now, but I'm just wondering how, how that is going to be done, just given the things that just go up normally.
Well,
Naturally.
I believe we went that because first thing was to try to get a town budget balanced without destroying the town budget. So there's, the school committee looks out for the school and that's their job. Ours is the town first. So we had talked about it earlier, back a few meetings. We'd work on that premise of just level funded the school from the previous year. When we get to, we could get to a balanced budget without using stabilization money and other things, and outside of it, without depending on an override. And I think we've done it, and we actually have a little money, maybe, to, we've talked about a 2.5% increase, but, when we get final number on the town budget, if we have surplus, then that will be the next, conversation to have, to see what we can increase without, wiping out the town budget. I mean, we're not the only town doing this, unfortunately. Or whichever way you look at it. But that was, our last meeting and a meeting before that, it's gone around. What are we gonna fund the school number at? And because we ought to get the town, see if we could get the town balanced without override money. And if an override happens to pass, then some of the things that we reduced, we really, there are a few that we could probably go back and fund, but a lot of these, I think, would stay for the year without, some of them I think can stay. It's, town's gotta do more with less, just like the residents have to do. But again, that'll come later when, they have James that does his math and we're done checking our numbers. If we have a surplus, then, that would be discussion of the board for what would we be able to afford the school minus an override. But there's no money there. We can't find the money. There's no money there to balance the town budget without cutting it drastically, which does seem that the board wasn't prepared to do that. So, but that'll be our next exercise. And I was talking with a resident, unfortunately, I've been like 3 of these. Maybe 4, but 3 for sure where, we've had district-wide meetings and it's not fun and I don't look forward to it.
I've been part.
I don't look forward to it at all. I've done them. I've been, sitting here on the board and I don't look forward to it at all. I hope, election day, the town surprises me again. So, but that's the reasoning behind that. If we could balance our budget and if there's any excess funds, then we could talk about that. But that was our obligation first. That was our exercise. Our reason for all these meetings was try to get the town budget in balance with as little hurt as possible.
Are there other, just, because I haven't been able to follow the bouncing ball, are there other, from the town side, the departments that are zero funded from year to year?
We've cut a lot, are they level funded? No, some of the things we can't do because we have CBAs to deal with, multiple ones. So, and just some things that have to be done.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Mr. May.
One thing I just wanted to point out, because I didn't want anybody to get the wrong impression from what was being said when we're talking surpluses and so forth. Because the surplus that we're talking about is, if I'm not mistaken, it's minus 7 employees and a couple of part-time employees on top of that.
Yeah.
Just to get to 0. So that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to get to see what our, worst case scenario is. And if we can make cuts so that potentially we could find some money, like we found some money to get rid of, let's say, certain things and to get back a couple of employees. But and once we find out how much money we have, if we have any, then we can, make a better educated decision on where we can go from there.
Because I don't know, what is the deadline for the town, for the number, like the number? I don't know this, I just.
Well, we have the advisory committee by bylaw has to have recommendations to town meeting. No later than 2 days before the town meeting. So their recommendations have to be available to the public. No later than that Monday. Wednesday's 13th. 11th, but they have a pre-town meeting this Monday, May 4th. So they're gonna need some dollars. but that's when, you know, we have to be able to have figures for, and motions to get ready for town meeting. And as you know, stuff can happen on the floor, and it's happened before. The school committee it's been done in the past again. I've been there where, they've reduced it right on the floor, to even things out.
Yeah.
You know, we whacked, there's two police officers out of this budget. We try to keep the two ambulance workers because, you know, lives are more important than the most important thing that we have to take care of. So, again, we were just trying to get to a balanced budget.
And the reason why I ask is that regardless, we talk about CBAs, right? So I have obligations to notify. You get what I'm saying? So that's of the many, many things
Right.
that I worry about, or we worry about. That's why that's important for me to know. And I know that you folks know this also, but the school committee obviously can recertify the number and
Right.
will have to, or will, or whatever the desire of the school committee is.
So, yeah, whatever, if
Sure.
town meeting doesn't vote their budget, it's going back to the school committee anyway for their reconsideration, and they can do what they think they can or have to do. And then it's that, you know, that back and forth 1/12 thing.
It's not pretty.
Hmm.
Nothing about it's pretty.
It's not fun, it's not pretty,
No.
and like I said, some of the small things that we reduced, we don't necessarily have to put those funds back, but some employees, yeah, like I said, the town surprises me again. Then that's when we would know, like I said, we're gonna have a couple different options to see what the town, you know, votes for. And then it depends on the election day.
I'm gonna ask you just, I promised my last question. As I promised back in, I don't know when it was, maybe February, when we had the joint town meeting, the joint one. They certainly said they would be part of the process. We haven't put out any information because we don't wanna put out misinformation more than anything else. I have been, of course, asked on a daily basis about like what, but you know, and it's hard because and I keep saying, look, there've been 3-4 nights, I don't even know. Honestly, I don't know how many I should be, I think it's 4, or more than that, but what I want, because I do have to quell some of the questions, and I'm wondering. Honestly, how would the board feel if I put out exactly what you just said? Because I need to at least show or say what is zero. Lots of folks are gonna get confused with what a level funded budget is. It's gonna be confusing, right? So, and what does that mean? Right, so I need to, not only the definition of a level funded budget, but what does that mean, you know, the structure. Without the hyperbole and all the, you know, the bells and whistles on, you know, some of these things have been put out there, but I really want to make sure that folks understand the differences between a 2%, or 2.5% increase in level funded. I want to know what the board's thought is on that, because what I don't want is, I don't want to fisticuff back and forth, you know what I'm saying? But I do have to put out information to parents / staff, you know, about what this all means, and people don't look at that and go, look, he's putting out that he doesn't even know. What I'm getting is that I don't think anyone knows yet, right? But I have to start putting this information out because people are just thinking all kinds of crazy things. So that's my question to the board, honestly.
All I can say is when we should know by the end of this evening, you know, what our general fund budget numbers will be, the options, you know, where we're at now, versus, with the $2 million override, or
Right.
big guy, $4 million over, that's
Yeah,
I just don't want to be perceived as cutting the legs out from under anything. I just want to put out the information as I promised, and that's all I want to do. I just don't want it to be perceived as anything more than just information. We will not have anything crazy on it I just need to list it. And I want to make sure that I'm not asking permission, I guess, but I do want you to know that I do need to put something out eventually, because I have so many folks asking, and I just don't want it to be perceived any other way.
we're gonna get it on the same side on the town. They're gonna ask once we finish, so.
Oh, sure, oh,
Yeah,
I'm sure
so
you're.
both ways, yeah, so.
Yeah. Right.
I'm sure that that information will be helpful to you once we finish what we're doing, right?
Same.
Yeah. Yeah.
My phone has rung more in the last month than it has in the last 11 months.
Right.
So, yeah. There's a lot of questions out there. There's very few answers right now. Or good ones.
Mhm.
We're trying to make what was a bad option for the town, let's just say less bad. I won't say good, because it ain't good, but I'm just saying less bad. And that's, with a zero override budget.
Mhm.
Because we have to be ready for that, and as you know.
Absolutely.
You know,
plan
and-
for the worst, you hope for the best.
Yeah, and that's what I think that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
Like, what can I say without leading or dragging back, you just wanna be,
Without
Factual.
infuriating or making the problem worse.
Right, and
Yeah.
I just need to put out information.
Yeah.
Of course, I need to do that.
Yeah.
So, that's quite, because I don't want we promised, I did, I don't want this. This
Yeah.
is, that wasn't useful, it wasn't helpful last time, it was terrible.
Mhm.
So, but I just want to make sure that, and I'm gonna be here till you're done, so I'm gonna know what I know the minute,
yeah. and
I know,
that's-
so.
and
the
that-
residents asked, they wanted us to go, like, they kept on saying, have you gone through the budget? Have you gone line by line? And now we have. So we've gone line by line to try to figure out, what we can cut.
We can say that
If there's anything, if there's been anything that we could, do without for another year or two, if we already had it in the storage, do we, and then of course your personnel, you don't wanna let them to go. Because they're great people and they're doing a great job, and you have to make those hard decisions.
Right.
So I think to the residents, I think in the last few meetings, and so I think we've lived up to what they've asked of us as, elected officials. But they're probably not gonna like all the answers too, because people are gonna have different opinions on what could have been cut better, or what could have been done. And the same thing with the school, like you guys have your own budget and people don't get it, cause some people don't understand a regional versus like a city or town situation. But we have to think of, all of our residents, we can't think of just one age bracket either, and that's the part. If we could win the lottery or had a tree outside, we would totally fund everybody. And that's where we're at, like, many of us are not getting any sleep over this. And, just to think about, are you making the right decision? Cause you don't wanna turn on the news and find out that the ambulance didn't make it there because you didn't hire the ambulance, And the same thing, you don't wanna hear that someone's education didn't go well because you didn't have the right stuff either. So it goes both ways. I mean, I think you understand that. Yeah, so
Yes.
we're just trying to do our best.
Yep.
And to fit it, and, maybe people will give us $2 million, and that would be very helpful to both the school district and the town, I think. If we could, I mean, that would be the best scenario, is to get the override, a $2 million override.
I don't want to take your time, because I did ask like 4 questions, so I apologize.
It's,
You went over.
We've been,
I'm sorry.
and
Well, we have the meetings.
select, different board members, options and thoughts on cuts and stuff. Not everybody, we didn't cut everything that everybody said. We was like, well, we could do this. No, okay, we're not gonna do that. We'll leave that. We,
No, I watched it. Even if I wasn't here, I watched it. So no, I absolutely seen you going back. Absolutely.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes,
uh, how's the math coming along?
well, I have a question about, the fire, because while you guys were talking about that, I was looking up that other spreadsheet, so. I need to know a little bit about that. I mean, those are smaller dollar amounts. If you want, I could try and do some of this on the fly. I think Mr. May is probably correct about the sewer, so I'm gonna take that out. I'll second there. But that's a net. Doesn't affect anything.
What do we do on what kind? How it goes. I'll give it up on the whole.
So on fire, can someone repeat for me, what it was we were having?
Oh,
Mm,
Oh,
mm.
it's on the 5110 account.
Yep.
The first four items was the firefighter boot structure, firefighter helmet structure, the fire hoods, and the firefighter gloves structure. Those four items. Mr. Toth has the math. We were talking and he was ciphering.
yes.
So Mr. Ryan, taking those first four lines, reducing those numbers by half. So the 1,800 becoming 900, 2,960 becoming 1,480, 960 becoming 480, 1,430 becoming 715 is a grand total of 3,575. Taking that away from the 28,300 for the bottom line total, I come up with 24,725. And I had a board's consensus, that's where they were wanting to go with that.
Okay, so if you bear with me, I could,
Yep.
I already updated the sources for a couple things, so I think I can update it for the couple I'm missing.
And if I missed anything, please, we'll correct it now.
Yes.
Are we done with you?
He added.
The
Case you was monitored.
two, reimbursement does the stuff on.
We didn't do all of that.
Yeah, I'm
Just-
just-
Yeah.
Those bad, I know.
Thank
You can't use it all.
Yeah.
I apologize. So,
There's a good cut in there too.
okay.
Yeah, so.
I just wanna make sure.
Probably will work.
We can, oh,
It's gonna be close.
okay,
So
that still stands for where we had it.
This, that in a second.
Yeah,
meeting,
yes.
Cut all of these in half, I would buy and like.
I'm gonna say that.
So that's what it just,
Yeah,
was he,
I'm just.
it was slow in here, but I don't. think it's always-
Something different. Yeah. Mm. Yeah.
Should have. So.
Yeah, yeah, and I send them on about the vehicle. There's enough on.
I apologize, this takes a while on the fly because I have to update multiple spreadsheets.
fine. We ain't going anywhere. You eat. So sorry.
Did we adjust anything on buildings and grounds this tonight? Or was it just highway?
That's just highway. I don't think we talked about building and grounds.
I don't think you did.
We
Okay.
just talked about highway.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. We talked about free cash money.
Yeah, I think the only reference we had to buildings and grounds was dealing with the, windows and so forth.
Yeah.
That was the only discussion about buildings and grounds, so.
Got it. All right, I think I got everything. The sewer was a net anyway. It didn't add anything. I did EMD. I removed the stabilization fund money. I removed the fire stuff and then the highway stuff. I
You
think that
lowered
was,
the emergency management number.
yeah, I did that.
Mhm.
Look back on emergency management, there may be another 250 we can take, that's that pallet of water.
Yeah.
We talked about that, that's the one, we're still waiting for the dates from Anheuser-Busch on that canned water that they do.
So,
I thought we discussed moving that over to the fire department to pursue that.
Mhm.
so I don't know, do you guys want to delete it? It's, or from EMD?
Yes.
I believe that was the original discussion 3 or 4 meetings back.
So originally we were leaving it in because we weren't sure about that, and it wasn't worth moving around $250 to take it from one spreadsheet and move it to the other. If you want to cut it now, we can do that.
I would say cut it, we've been cutting $50 amounts.
Yes.
Sheriff wants to cut it.
So,
I think that's the one.
yes,
Yeah, it was to zero that out and
Zero it out and then let fire
Look
try to
and see if
pursue
we
it
can-
and I'll continue to follow it and watch the date.
because the water can go to the fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
that was the thing. So
Yeah.
yes,
They're the ones
the
that-
250,
Give it to him.
the 5,400 should
Yep.
be zero.
Okay, got it.
Not trying to be mean about it, but just every penny counts.
I just would say too, that any, department of the town that's out there that thinks they can cut anything from their budget, please send it along. Cause, you know, every little bit helps, still.
I mean, I think I got everything. Well, let me check, make sure this is the one that shows the school at zero. Yes, it is. Okay. This shows that we are in the positive by $1,150.
For which one?
Or, sorry, say that again, Ms. Graves?
Which one? What are you in the positive for?
Well, total positive
On the,
gain or
on the,
surplus,
on the-
surplus of 1,150.
on the 800 one? I mean, the 8 million? The no, of the
Yes,
number from
yes.
last,
That's with the operational stabilization money taken out.
James,
that's right.
it doesn't sound right to me
No, I got like
because
4,150.
we've, just from fire, we deducted how much, Mr. Tar?
3,575.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the 1,750 from
Yeah, and
That-
and the 600 and the 250,
yeah,
which would be $4,150.
yeah, seems,
Yeah.
and, yeah, it just seems more than, we should be a little bit further ahead, but, you know, I'm not doing the math tonight.
I did, and that's what I got.
It's bad, the calculator bad in this.
My brain's still,
All
yeah.
right, so let's go over it again. So let's go over it again. Emergency management, we took out the stipends and we took out the water. I removed the stabilization fund money. The fire, we removed, we have those, I think, 4 line items. And highway, we took out, I think, $600. Was that the $600 one?
Yeah, there was a 600, 250, 1,750 to $3,300. And then, of course, the 400,000. That's bad. 0. This was taken out. So these are added, so adds, and this is a minus. So these are the adds. This is the minus. It's the last number. Have a good day. Sometimes I hit it. Sometimes not.
I mean, I don't know, that's what I'm getting from the spreadsheet. We could, I don't know, we could open up those ones and go through it again.
I have no idea.
Cause I've got 6357.
Okay, that's,
I'm not sure where you're plugging those all in, but
Okay, think about.
6,000, are you saying 6,000 and change in cuts from tonight? Is that what you're saying?
yep,
Yeah,
funds that we were able to cut and keep available for other uses. Yes, sir.
I don't know. So what I did was I went to the budgets that we were talking about. I changed the dollar amounts and then I went to the totals and typed in totals into the sources and uses. So,
25.
um,
If I'm not mistaken, with the deduction of the OpEx, the 465.50, we were negative $5,025 to start. So with the addition of 6357. 6357?
Yes, sir.
All right, 6357, we should have $1,332 left.
so Mr. May, you think it's 1,300 and something?
Two.
Sorry, say again, 1,332?
There you go. Thank you.
I mean, our numbers are different by $182, so I don't know where that's an odd number.
Hey, you can kick it in.
Yeah.
Quoting you. Yeah, you probably will, won't you?
So I don't know, the only way to reconcile our numbers is to go through those budgets again and see that I caught them all. The biggest one was fire, correct? We have all those line items and Mr. Toth, do you have fire's numbers in front of you? Those numbers we changed?
Yep,
All right, so I have,
on the 5110 account.
Yep.
The 1800, cut it in half, we get 900.
yep,
Next line, cut the 2960 in half, you get 1480.
yep,
Next line, cut the 960 in half, you get 480.
yep,
Next line, 1430, half of that is 715. That's
Yep.
3,575 even.
Yep.
Which reduces the total down to 24,725.
yep, I have that one.
Yep. So we're in agreement there.
Yep. And then, I'll check EMD again, it's,
Yeah, that's 2,000 from EMD
Yep,
total. 1,750 for the stipends and 250.
250 to take the water out, yeah.
That's a grand.
750 and 1,300 for expenses, correct? So a total of 2,050 is EMD's budget now?
Oh, okay. Look at it that way.
Looks like it. I don't know where you're getting the 50.
750 for stipends, 1,300 for expenses. Was it 700 for stipends or 750? I thought it was 750.
750.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And then the 5,400 we're zeroing out.
So that's where that 50 comes from.
Yep, I have that.
Oh, since we're here, another question, for the board. And for you, James, I believe also on the 5,200 account for emergency management. Did we not also wipe out the $500? I believe we zeroed out that whole account, but I'm not 100%.
I don't recall.
Yeah, because I know that was my suggestion from my notes.
Hmm.
And I don't remember it turning out, to save the 500, but, that's my memory, so. Take it as you will.
I know we cut 1,000.
And we left. And we left 5.
We had to have left 5 to pay,
Yeah.
because it was 15.
If you have any notes, there.
It was 15 right here.
Oh, I know, what it used to be 15. I do
Yeah,
know
and then
that,
we cut it, see, and then we left 5.
Okay, very good. Good.
Highway was just the 600, right? That's all we did tonight?
You believe so?
Yeah, so I just deleted that, so that's gone as well. So let's double check. Yep, so that's typed in correctly. Yeah, I mean, I think that was it. that and I removed the stabilization fund money, which I just clicked delete, so that's gone.
Yep.
So I have a balance of positive 1,150.
That's where I'm showing.
Okay, there it is. I must have grabbed the wrong number. Mhm,
This is why we do checks and balances.
absolutely. That's why we have 5 of us. Hmm.
I have a question. on building and grounds, I noticed over the last several years, we always have something called garage door repairs. And this says $6,000, and I see it like, there's 2,000 the year before, it was like 3,000, like, how much are we fixing the garage doors? I was just curious about that. It was something that I had noticed a while back, and I just forgot to mention it, to ask a question.
I don't know how accurate the numbers are, but I do know that, I think it was last year, we replaced the garage door at the, EMD building.
Yeah.
Was hit. You know, 1 year we replaced the garage door at the fire station. Other than that, I don't know.
Is this in case we get a hit garage door? Is this an actual garage door that has to be replaced?
That's usually what that is. In case-
That can be the spring breaks, the motor burns out. We just did one at work and that would not even start to cover what we just spent in repairs.
Alright, I was just
So,
curious, I had seen it.
That's actually a
And
low
I was just
number.
wondering if somebody just a bad driver in the garage, I wasn't sure what we.
Well, the Elm Street door
the door.
was, that's exactly what it was. Somebody hit the door, but
Oh, okay.
And is that something that could fall underneath miscellaneous repairs and maintenance, so?
possibly. But I wouldn't wanna be micromanaging a department that way.
True.
It's a good question.
So I think miscellaneous repairs, I'm just clicking through the budget to make sure I'm not remembering something else. I'm pretty sure miscellaneous repairs and maintenance is basically things like plumbing or electrical or stuff like that, that happens in, some of these buildings, I think.
They cover a lot
And-
of buildings.
Yeah,
And he, I think he spends that amount each year. And we've had a plumber come out 2 times in town hall since I've been here.
I do have a question now about buildings. Now, we have some buildings that aren't in his stuff and they're gonna get a 0 budget. So are they supposed to raise the funds of, donations or something to fix if something happens to their building? Cause it's not on the building grant, like there's a grease trap for the part that gets fixed and then there's, the, pumping the septic and stuff like that, and that's not listed on building and grounds now. But as Parks and Rec has a 0 budget, are they supposed to pick that up and go raise the funds? Like, if the bathroom goes, are they supposed to fix that out of, what are they gonna fix it out of? Cause his bathroom's down there. And, open and close it, it costs money. And then you have, like, the plumber's been down a few times for a couple of different things. When the well just went this past year, they had to pay out of their seed, fertilization money, like over like $7,000. Like, I'm just wondering, how will that work? If we're zeroing out their budget. And at the town property building with bathrooms. Will that be out of the $10,000 of his? Would that be where it comes from?
Where was it paid for previously?
Parks and Rec budget.
So they would be required they would be required to raise fees enough to manage their process.
So basically they'll have to raise the fees for their sports in order to fix the public building with the public bathrooms.
If that's how they've done it before.
No, they haven't. The town paid. They had a budget. They had a budget last year of $66,000 and it helped pay for that stuff. I just told you.
Right, so if it's in their budget, they're required to handle it through their fees, through their revolving fund is what I'm saying. So if it was in their
No,
budget before,
The town taxation dollars of $66,000 they received, and that's what paid for it. It wasn't their
Parks and Rec
fees.
budget.
They don't, all the sports and all that stuff is the money that they raise and they budget within their sports. So I was just wondering, it is a town building, town plumbing and town responsibility, so I was just wondering on how, like, they are on some of building and grounds, that's why I'm asking. Gilman Waite's concession stand, like the the electricity and the water bills and stuff are on building and ground, so I was just asking if something happens, will they be able to go to that, you know, that's what I'm asking. Will it now be under them to fix it? It's just a question.
Right, we have no extra money budgeted in DPW's budget. In fact, we've cut it a lot, so.
And will that be the same thing with Scouts Hall? If Scouts Hall has a problem, will TCTV have to fix it?
If they were responsible for it before.
I don't think they were.
No, we were not.
You just have the heating, what is it the heating bill? And the, Baldwin bill you pay?
Yeah, we have the oil at the light department garage.
And then you also have you have to pay, the community service out of your department too.
Yeah.
And that was paid through your revenues or the taxation of the town?
It was. This is where it becomes dicey when we start mixing enterprise funds, revolving funds, and town budget funds. Because by true definition, an enterprise and revolving fund is responsible for that department's entire operation. That is why we build those funds. And years ago, we shut all of those down. And this is why we shut all of those down, because it got extremely confusing. And then slowly they started building them back.
Well, that would have been approved by the budgets were approved by the select board, so.
Yes, they were, and the budgets were shut off by the select boards, and this is part of why they got shut off, and now I'm going back 20+ years and. It follows kind of a sine wave and we're down in the valley again, so. Unfortunately,
I was just asking.
no, it's a good
I
question.
just thought I worry about the bathroom pipes freezing or anything, so I just wanna know if they can't raise the funds, how that will affect the town.
Yeah.
It is a town investment.
Well, I was gonna say, and that's a, you know, a whole discussion for a whole nother day, but. You know, a lot of, let's say, Parks and Rec was expanded through CPA funds. For the build, and for the design and for the layout and so forth, but no maintenance. So every time we put one of these projects together. There's maintenance that comes onto the town budget and increases the town side that isn't accounted for in the discussion. You know, like even, let's say Heroes Park, that,
Yeah,
that's gonna take buildings and grounds time.
it already is. It's already monuments are there. It's already gonna take buildings and grounds time. There's monuments there. It has to be cut anyway. It's a park now.
Okay,
Mr. Ryan, did we ever get an answer of why the dog pound is, the electric bill is $7,080?
Actually, I did, hold on, I'll look at it for you. It's like I did receive an email. All right, so. He said, as mentioned before, it is electric heat along with, electric heat along with lights, washer, dryer, air conditioning, sewer pump fans, etc. Price is a little higher due to not knowing what type of winter is projected. Projected it is like ordering oil for buildings, but in this case, it is electric heat. I don't know what he meant by that. He said we could shave off 500 if we wanted.
Okay, I'm just looking at the other charges for the buildings,
up to 500.
like the library, is $756 for the year. And the senior center is $3,974 for the year.
I think they might have, what did they have?
Pretty good.
A propane, yeah.
Okay,
So it's electric, it's gonna be more expensive, but I don't know, he sent me this document, which looks like I guess it's bills monthly. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but you know, he's confident that's a pretty close guess. Or sorry, not guess, pretty close um estimation of costs.
Okay. Right, if we're able to shave $500 off of that,
It's cutting it close though, but yeah, he hopes it'd be okay. It's again depends on the winter.
right?
See who knows.
I question, Mr. Chair, I question if we're questioning the buildings and the heat and so forth. I question the emergency management building because we heat that and it costs us $10,000+ a year. And seemingly it's just an office, in storage. I don't know if there's anything down, in the storage that needs to be heated, but we're spending, 10,000+ on that. For an office when we do, have an office available up at the senior center. That could be utilized and just keep that as cold storage for now, and save,
Yeah.
What office at the senior center?
I don't know, Jackie says she has one that she's using right now that she won't be using at the remodel.
That'd be a possibility.
Oh, I think it was what do you call it, one that did the activities director. Up in the corner, maybe?
Mr. Chair, if I
Yes.
may. I think someone talked about this before. There's some equipment there or something that needs to be properly heated and cooled. I don't know if is TCTV still in the audience?
Yeah.
Is there stuff at the emergency management building, some tech stuff that's there or something?
I don't know about the emergency management building, but that does sound familiar, James.
There was something there. I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember, but there was something there, which is why, it's air conditioned in I think that was the topic of conversation at the time was cooling it during the warmer months, and there was some
Yeah,
Heck,
that's what we need to do in the garage because, it's being heated for the water. They've since shut the water off there, but I don't know if I want to step into a building that looks like Ice Station Zebra in the middle of the winter with my equipment there. So yeah, the building is being heated and it's a leaky garage, which is kind of insane. And meanwhile, in our closet, we have to run an AC for the TV server, which is,
But that's not the emergency.
yeah, that's not emergency management.
Could you find out what that is, James?
sure,
What the rationale is to keep it heated and cooled?
sure thing.
Cause that was on the list last year. They wanted to close that one. Yeah.
Not saying we're doing it, but that's a potential 14,267.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, I just don't remember all the conversations last year, cause this is the one on last year that was supposed to be closed. But for some reason, I don't even remember anybody voting to actually keep it open. I don't remember how it stayed open. Is it? I don't remember.
There was, we never finalized it, there was a discussion because of the boiler itself.
Okay,
You couldn't just let it go stone cold.
right,
We never came to a final determination.
okay.
I don't remember all the intricacies of it though.
I remember it, we just never got an answer on it.
Mhm.
The public did it when I followed it in the meetings.
So we're gonna go ahead with the reduction of the electric per pound,
The what?
the electric for the pound?
The $500?
Yeah,
I'm fine with it.
and he says we can take it and.
Off the 5,700 account.
September.
I'm hearing general consensus, so I'm gonna do it.
Okay. I think that's what Mr. May said too.
If Bob says he can make it work with that, then.
Questioned out.
Well, we're just gonna throw it out there. We have some items that, I mean, I don't know if they necessarily can be cut, but they're not contractual agreements. Right now, we have the chief's clothing allowance for fire at 1,200. We have the call per diem clothing allowance Um. Now, there's the addition of, this year that we haven't had on the budget before of firefighter brush gear. That's a new addition, that's $8,750. Um. Well, I don't know how anybody feels about any of that. Um. And to be consistent, we did cut the non-contractual part-time clothing allowances for police.
Yeah,
I just don't like the idea of asking somebody to do a job and not giving them the tools they need to do the job.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
And just throwing it out there.
Yep, I'm just saying, it's not contractual, so, you know.
So,
so what you're saying is, this coming year, we're not gonna pay for this stuff, but, for the chief, but we paid previous year. Hope we take care of it.
Well, it doesn't have a contract.
So, Mr. Ryan,
Yeah,
That'd be good.
do you have a general fund budget number now without override?
it's, you're in the surplus like 1,600, hold on a sec. 1,650.
Mm, I might be missing it. I might be wrong, but the windows and the other one, was that in the 464, 500 number? No? What number was that in on your funds? It's not, where is he getting the cash fund to pay for that?
And those,
Yeah,
yeah,
right, they're here, the charges are here, but where is he, on the, finance sheet on the top, where is he getting the cash from that paid for it? Cause that's supposed to come out of, that's a free, those are the free cash items,
this is free cash,
right?
so it's getting some free cash,
Okay, so the free cash number would be,
that has nothing,
oh, that has nothing to do with it?
Nope.
What number is that from?
that right there is from the OPEX account,
Okay,
so that's been removed, that's gone.
right.
Yeah.
But
Free
I don't,
cash.
I'm just not seeing it, how it was brought in here, that's what I'm trying to ask.
So, free cash right here, 115,000.
Oh, okay, there it is, all right, thank you,
Welcome.
I missed it, I told you I might not be seeing
Yeah.
it. My sucker was too big.
Hey. A lot of numbers.
Yeah. But I'm looking at that number and I still don't. Okay. So out of the the $115,000, what is that being used for?
Talking about the free cash number.
The capital stuff?
Right here, and it's only, and that's something too, that 115 honestly could be
Yeah.
reduced because we're only utilizing 62,000 of it. Now, because the 50,000 for the sewer truck is not needed.
Okay, maybe that's what's on.
The
You get
free
that,
cash
Dave?
was never, hold on, the free cash was never paying for, are you talking about the free cash number, 115?
Right?
Yeah, that was never paying for the sewer truck.
Well, in the capital and debt,
Yeah,
Yeah.
how do you get up to the 112,000?
so if something's in capital and debt, that doesn't mean it's paid for with free cash. That 115, I'd have to pull out some spreadsheets. Most of that was my last offer to the board. It was a memo I think I wrote.
Just seems
Um,
rather odd that number for free cash with the truck and it's 112,000. And the number going in for free cash is 115. And I see no other uses here for free cash.
yeah, because I think some of that free cash was plugging the deficit. So it was, some of it was
Oh.
used in capital and some of it was used in the deficit.
Yeah.
That's what I was afraid of.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
So I can find the difference and you can pull it out, but it's gonna eat up,
Yes, I know what it's gonna do. That's why I said I didn't see it.
I hate to be the one to ask this, but is there any way that the education incentive that we have for fire and police both? Is there any way we could reduce that?
I think it's in their contract.
Is it in the contract?
Yeah,
Okay,
Those are contractual.
okay.
told you I should not look anymore.
Oh, I got one for you.
Maybe you do
Pinch
better.
bonus.
Okay. Police and dispatch. PT test. Stipends.
Mm.
Was 8,800 originally in the first budget and it's still 8,800 now
Mm.
with 2 less police officers. It
Yeah,
does
so,
not make.
um. Let's see.
Bonus on contractual. Was it?
What was it again, Bob? Pete, was it PT stipends?
PT stipends on a 5,100 account, second item from the bottom, $8,800. It's been that way since the budget was first created
Yeah,
and, we dropped to.
Did we ever check out the EMD stipends?
On mine, I don't know, maybe I forgot to put this page in your book. On mine, that's fixed.
Yeah,
So
it's not.
that was
fine.
part of all of the changes that the chief submitted. So maybe this page didn't make it into your book because maybe he submitted that after I sent you an update. I'm not really sure, but that's changed. It went from 8,800 to 6,400.
Yeah, that hasn't changed in our budget
it's not
book
changed anywhere.
and it,
The number's still the same, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
What was it? What was it supposed to be?
6,600.
It's 6,400. It went from 8,800 to 6,400.
Thank you.
I'll double check this now, but I'm pretty sure this is all this is reflected on the sources and uses, but yeah, you wouldn't know that because the budget you have, I guess, is the old one somehow, so maybe the police chief got this to me after I sent you, the update, because I had to send it to you before when was I off? On Wednesday? Days blur together now. So I had to send it to you by Tuesday evening so you'd have some time to look at it. So I may have not gotten the Chiefs back in time. I'm not sure. Not sure what the timing was on that.
Sure.
Is there anything else that he gave you?
Yeah, it was a lot of stuff. Hold on, let me make sure my number is correct here.
Yeah, that might be why I'm not seeing any of those adjustments you were talking about in that. In the, sick leave, personal well leave, vacation backfill, all that stuff, because that changed once originally. At the beginning of, I think our first meeting. But with the no override. From the budget that's presented to me here, it hasn't changed since.
Hmm.
So that's still something that I'd like to see change, and I'd like to see that, how that's reflected in the budget, because I'm not seeing that reflected in sources and uses either.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think, I think this was all sent to you before I got these changes. So actually I can make the update now. I can tell you what the new number is.
Interesting watching the bread being made, is it?
I don't like bread now.
Huh?
I like bread now.
Oh,
I'm with you.
No, just watching it helps me.
Uh-huh.
And to think my 10-year-old is upset he had to leave.
Such a good job.
Yeah, last meeting,
Oh, that's all.
yeah,
Wait a minute.
He did such a good job.
he was so upset he had to leave.
I'll play catch or something.
yeah, how much do you think it is?
Oh, it's gotta be at least 2 million.
Yeah, where?
All
Really?
right, so that changes your surplus to 64,128.
Now. That sounds better. Not good. But
Better.
have you been able to figure out what that $115,000 in free cash is covering?
No, I had to switch to the police.
Oh, we can.
Let me find my memo and whatnot. It's also part of the warrant too, I believe, but I don't know what'll be faster at this point.
Just to be clear, the window replacement and the other building, for the town hall, that's covered under a grant, the majority of it. So that'll be refunded. Did you mention there was a grant for that?
Those are from the,
We'll pay for it up front and then that'll be.
well,
A lot of it'll be refunded,
yeah,
right?
that, we have that grant with,
Yeah.
Green community?
yes, we can use some of that, I believe, for the windows as well.
Yeah.
We were told.
Believe
All
Mr.
right,
Tom.
I have the free cash number.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no problem.
So the 115 is the following. TES bulletproof resistant glass 7,000, town hall windows 25,000, and then 83,000 is to balance the budget.
Just can't get away from this.
Well, I think 5 was supposed to be the, bump out. And technically, the 25 is supposed to be from the 4 thing for building and grounds, that, what is it called? No, 4-string water management, no?
Sorry, what's the question?
Oh, I don't,
Well, I was gonna say, I'll just take off what Candace just tipped up here to me anyway. Where's the MS4 coming from? 25,000 for that?
Just tax impact. The board asked that we put it back in, so it's back in.
Okay.
Didn't we have a special article with 5,000 writing on that?
Well, I think we put 20,000 back in, but Bob Sozak said that the 5,000 is gonna be gone this year and so
Yeah, I
we,
spoke to that Monday, though. If that's a special article and that was set aside for MS4, that's all we can use that on. That's gonna get somebody jammed up. We need to look at that.
I think he is using it for MS4 for this year,
Okay,
correct.
because I don't think we funded this year last year. You
I
know,
just wanna make sure we
Yeah.
spend it
Yeah.
appropriately.
Yeah, no, you're right on the money.
That, it's not worth getting in trouble over $5,000.
But I did one thing that Candace mentioned, you said here that was 25,000 for the windows, the town hall windows. And,
the
7,000, right, 7,000 for TES windows, safety window. But we did have $5,000 for the doghouse. Even if we were gonna have Monty Tech do it, we need supplies still for it,
I think it's
material.
this one here, he changed the name of it. He calls it bulkhead
yeah.
entrance town hall.
Yeah, so the proper way, the proper thing to call it is bulkhead entrance. We don't want to
No.
put doghouse on there. The public's gonna think we're insane.
I don't have to explain that one already.
Maybe we'll get funding for it easier that way. So, is that in free cash also?
Nope, that's just regular tax impact.
But if you would, you get the 83,000.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now you have other things that you're paying for free cash, but they're in separate articles, just so you know, the 115 just covers those three things.
Yeah. Mhm.
You could say it, but shouldn't we take that 83,000 out?
Well, it would actually be this because he's technically, those other two are really technically, they're just not in the. You put it in here instead of putting it on, so. Yeah. That's basically 52,000. When you look at it in hindsight of what it was supposed to be. I told you, I don't see it,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But
it makes it worse. And I know what
both
you,
ways make it worse.
I know what your thing is, so, yes.
One-time money for regular funds
Right,
does not work.
yeah,
That's part of the reason we're here.
yeah.
ARPA funds were great, ESSA funds were great. All these things, but. You know, they come around and hit you back of the head at some point.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. The positive number right now.
Mhm.
What's the bottom?
Well, it's,
I have.
I'll go it down from there.
So let me take that and then. Minus that is 53 and that would be your number if you didn't want to touch your stuff. That's what we have, that's what we made so far.
It'd be about 11, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
53 or 64.
Yeah, it's 53.
Mhm.
So if you minus that number by the whole, you take them out, not using it, then you go the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the doghouse and the other things should be part of that equation of 83.
Right, it is in kind of a.
But yeah, it's not where it's supposed to be, but it is what it's supposed to be, so. I can't argue that.
But on these papers.
But then if you don't need that building, it gets you where you need to be.
Mhm.
Right?
Mr. Chair, I think I'm about tapped out.
I'm just getting started.
Hmm? Hey, roll.
You find it, give us, find us 9,000, thanks, we appreciate it.
$1,000 doghouse, heat, AC,
Yeah,
orthopedic bed. Well, I couldn't, but I know somebody who
Say,
could.
I might stay out there. Hmm.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Top.
looking at all of this and looking backwards. I think we can still comfortably put the float hours back for the assessor's administrative position.
Yeah, well, I want to hear the the number.
Yep.
The general fund, and he does have no override total for us.
So, if I may. I understand what Mr. Todd's saying, because, you know, as we stand now, it looks like we have $64,000 to the positive. But as James just stated, that relies on $83,000 of free cash.
Yeah.
So,
Taking out two other elements that we
you know,
technically wanted
we're
as
kind
free
of
cash.
$21,000 in the hole. Or, no, $19,000 in the hole, sorry.
Yeah.
Let's put one of the threes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
plump that about. Before we put anything back, I would really like to, after the election, to see what we have.
But we have to give for an answer for the
But we have
two
to,
and the
we
four.
need a number with no override. And an option for both the overrides, what we would toss in.
So,
Did we get what, two police officers, that'd be 224,000 roughly.
I could understand.
Well, if we got the two, I would like to see to put the grant writer in there.
About
yeah.
114.
And we could. Drop the free cash. Oh. Either add to or use taxation to cover two of the six. Or add to. Okay.
Would the board like to give me a list of priorities, and then I can do the math and we can bring it, you know, to Monday's meeting?
Well, I'll speak to myself, I had three general fund budget numbers. One with no override, one on the 2 mil and one on the 4 mil. And are you looking for what we would like to fund out of that?
Yeah, we kind of have, I mean, maybe there's some tweaks, but we kind of have the zero override budget. What's the bigger unknown is the 2 million. Yeah, we should make a, you know, we should we definitely need a number for all three, but I think the biggest unknown, the one that's gonna take more work, is how do you want to utilize the 2 million override if that one gets got?
Oh,
Crystal,
I have to steal $3,000. I just remembered this. Fire department. We removed, clothing allowances that are contractual for the missing firemen that were taken out. And since we're replacing them, they need care. Because it was removed, it was brought down from 6 to 3. So we only have $3,000 for a clothing allowance for 6 firefighters, and the contract states $1,000 per. Just not gonna work.
Good point.
So how much are we adding back to what line?
$3,000, and I will get you the line in a moment.
It's under 5110. I think,
I would assume.
and it's at 5 now.
So there's three.
Oh, it is at
two.
5, okay. It then moved out.
Yeah, I think he did it.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, wrong.
No,
Oh,
the
didn't you?
equation's not right because I had to go through these and hard code it to keep up with the changes. So it looks like it's 1,000 per firefighter.
Is,
So we would need,
To put three back in there.
right.
well, I think we would need a total of 6. So yeah,
Yes, we
6,
have
we, yeah,
three
6,000, so 3, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that brings us
Like that file. So
down just a little bit.
All right, so I have a surplus now of 61,128.
$61,128.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, James.
Will we put the, if we got the two, would we do the grant writer and the, planner? So that we can start trying to get more grants and trying to, build up what the public wants us to do to get more businesses and stuff. I was just asking.
Police be 240, we'll take till 250. 70K for grant.
We still have, 2 DPW.
Yeah.
That are cut, 1 building and grounds it's cut. We have, half-time custodian.
The other half of the custodian. Yeah, so that was part-time.
There was before, but we're moving it to full-time
Yeah, he was, but.
and we cut that back, so.
Police officer.
Yeah, he's got 2 hours.
Yeah, he's already got those.
But, I think it's 114 for a highway. For the 2, right around 114, 115. Plus,
So we need,
Some 584 for buildings and grounds, if you want that in there.
No, it's-
Mr. Chair, if I may
Yes.
distract you for a second. I would also, if we're talking about the $2 million override, what we're trying to fund. I would put the $15,000 back in treasurer's account. For the tax takings that we removed. To fill that up and, I would suggest filling the, assessors part-time hours also. But just my thoughts.
I agree with that.
so- And that was 15.
15 for tax taking. The assessors. Do you want to know the account?
Well, I just need numbers.
Okay. And, I don't know what the number was for the assessors, I think it was 1700 or something.
21, I think.
$1,731 for the part-time hours, the floating
Thank you.
hours.
I was only off by 10.
Yeah, you're close, pretty good.
$10 a month, that's bad.
Yeah. Give a beer. Right now, if we had, one thing we gotta make sure to do, if we're gonna add any contractual employees, we gotta make sure we fund the contractual items that have been renewed also.
I was bumping 30 for each employee. It would be better to 35. I think 30 is. Middle good. It's good. Cause we're 60K to plus already.
No, don't take it away with 61,128. Hey, we fought for every penny.
Just, I'll leave that as a cushion.
Yeah, sure. I'm good with that too.
Guess when I not carried or not, I miss or not.
Yeah. Yeah, not, yeah. Mhm.
So of the 2 million, you got what employees that you wanna bring back?
If we bring back 2 police and 2 highway, 1 building and grounds. The 15 tax taking and the floating hours.
In the grant writer?
Mr.
That's-
Mr. Chair, may I?
Yes,
Just so you know, because, Public Works is a union, if you want to bring back someone from that department, it's whoever is the more senior of the 3 that were let go. So I think the first one that would come back is a highway person.
Oh, did we have some in that too?
yeah, that's what I,
Oh, yeah.
2 highway, 1 building and grounds.
I thought we were talking about all, no.
Actually, I could be wrong. It might, well, my point is the choose by department, not position. How the positions shake out will depend on seniority.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, we get
Yeah.
that.
so on building and grounds, the person we cut was a step 3. And in the highway, we cut a step 7 and a step 6. So the 2 highway would come back
First, yeah.
and do the step 3 laborer on building and grounds. And just bring all 3 back. So there's no fight. It's,
We're gonna make the custodian full-time?
so,
To do this math, I don't know if I can do it tonight because it's gonna involve exact pay, exact benefits, unemployment. So it might be better, it might be easier if the board gave me their like priorities in order. And then Monday we can come back and I can show you how the math shakes out.
I'll press my acorns. Okay. So we would bring back on the $2 million override is where I was working from. We'd bring back the 2 police officers. We would fund the grant writer. 70.
grant writer plan. But just a grant writer.
Then the 2 highway workers. The building and grounds worker. Then the $15,000 for tax taking. And the assessor's floating hours of $1,731.
Did you wanna put the 25 for the emergency for the advisory that you took out?
I would like to see that. I would also like to see 25,000 infused back into free cash.
I'm sorry, we said what now?
I would agree with the vice chair, 25,000 back into advisories reserve
Yeah,
account.
yep.
And the $25,000 infusion into free cash.
Yeah, we're approaching probably exact dollar amounts for the
Mhm.
CBAs and stuff. Cause my rough math is like, 670,
Well,
but I'm thinking we're approaching 700. Just on
Yeah, I'm back to the math, I'm like 750,
the town
just
stuff.
ballparking it.
Mr. Chair, if I may. One question I did have is, one comment I do have is, I think the order should bring back our present employees before we add new ones.
Hmm.
So
Right,
in
that's what I
sequence, we don't wanna put the planner or the grant writer ahead of, let's say, DPW and buildings and grounds, because.
No, I had
Yeah.
the two police, the two highway, the building and grounds. Do the tax taking back, the floating hours. Uh. Reserve fund. Back. And I had the grant writer at the bottom.
Sure. That,
the plan, yeah, the plan is.
Yeah, no, that's fine with me, I just,
Because the 2 million and
Well, we had a grant writer.
So I was under the impression that the reason why we took away the grant writer position to begin with was because Mr. Ryan was knowledgeable with writing grants. That was one of the determining factors.
Yeah, and if we want. We need to have to bump up the pay a little bit to try to look for somebody with, some experience if we can,
yeah, because that I believe is part of the reason we didn't, because our last grant writer was, entry level.
Yeah.
And we're paying her 48, I think,
Right.
and we're not gonna get a grant writer planner for, we'll be lucky to be able to get one for 70. So.
strange things can happen.
Yeah.
But that's what when I added up, when I was writing, guesstimating numbers,
But they're also the planner
I had that down
or any development. We don't have that in the town.
Yeah.
right now.
Sure.
at the end of the list, so to speak, to fund the stuff that we took out first.
And to further what Lisa was said, regarding Mr. Ryan,
Yeah.
the issue around Mr. Ryan with grants was basically that he could
Oversee.
continue overseeing the ones we presently have,
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
so.
Yep.
Just to clarify.
Yeah.
Because by state statute, when you get a grant, it's supposed to be, the money is supposed to be put in a separate fund overseen by the treasurer. And no appropriation needed, as long as the legal purpose of the grant, that's what the money is spent on. So when you get a grant, it's supposed to be, in the treasurer's office, controlled books, and available to spend on the legal purpose of the grant. You don't have to go get anybody's approval, do anything. The only caveat with grants is you have to watch if there's matching town money, then you have to go find that money and get an appropriation.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Mr. Toth was mentioning, he mentioned 25,000 put back in free cash. But then he mentioned something else at the same time, and I didn't get that note.
Yeah, I was echoing the vice chair's comments, 25,000 back into the advisory committee.
Reserve fund.
Reserve fund.
That was it. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
And just to throw my, let's say, another potential on there was the, going from the part-time to the full-time custodian for the town buildings. Because from what I understand, we're not, cleaning half of them, so I'm just saying I would put that at the end of the run, if
if we have it, if it's on. It seems to be needed, many people mentioned, you know, that would be beneficial, so. But if we get there.
Yeah, we will.
Oh, the other thing would be to increase snow and ice funding. Because I know over the past 5 years, we've had over 100,000 every year.
Oh, yeah.
And 160. 7,500 is not gonna cut that.
We're 428 this year, we're 350 something last year. We're 190 over last year, we're
Yeah, we should.
275 over this year.
Yep.
So, yeah. Upping that might help.
Well, it takes pressure off free cash, and if we watch that, and if you have a mild winter, then you could always take unspent and slot it away. Transfer it into, you can either let that roll to free cash to increase the amount you would have available to put into the reserve funds, which make money. Because constantly underfunding it, it's just a hassle to find that money.
Bad plan with a shrinking free cash.
Yes, we're using free cash to fund the general fund budget. Yeah. So, let's see, what about it? I'll put 75. At 167,500.
I think, in my opinion, with a new director, as Bob's retiring. It might be, the department might be run a little different.
But still, the records are the records.
Yeah.
167,500.
And just for a clarification, so what you're all saying is that, our other two departments, our Parks and Rec department and our television station department needs to go find their own funding, and that the town won't be funding them ever again, is what I've heard. Is that the clarification?
That's not what was said.
Oh, okay, I
That's
just,
maybe what you're interpreting.
no, I'm just trying to figure out.
What
because
was
this-
said was when we have enterprise funds and revolving funds, the enterprise funds are supposed to cover those departments.
Yes.
Yeah. But I just was saying that they were giving some money, so I didn't know if we were gonna, because we have employees.
I understand that.
Yes, I just wanted to know about those employees. If we were putting any of those back in. I just didn't know how to say it. Maybe I didn't say it tactfully. I didn't mean to. I just trying to get a clarification on it, that's all. Cause we have, an assistant that does the billing and stuff. That's under the town. But, that's created under the town wage account for Parks and Rec. We have, a seasonal laborer, And then we have the swim class, those two instructors that we've spent a lot of money in the town. We invested a lot of time and energy to get them certified. They have many other things, but those are the things on top of my head. And then TCTV, with the revenues that they currently will have, they'll probably be short, and so there'll be a full timer. I think they won't be able to pay. I'm not sure, but based on the number, I don't think they can. And do all the services.
One full time,
Yeah, so I didn't know.
and I will greatly reduce my.
So, from the $2 million override, board feeling on increasing the 167,500 by 75,000 is probably not enough, but, I just don't want to see,
Just want it.
well, we got 2 million, so let's, boom.
Right,
Well, we don't-
and that's for snow and ice.
to be kind of, again, we have financial history that, we always underfund snow and ice by a big chunk.
I would agree with you with that number. And I would say if the $4 million override passes, we add 132.5. Get us to 300.
Well, I guess wish big, you wanna wish big. right?
I'm telling you, hey, we don't have the numbers. Yeah,
So this is. And that was
32.5. Brings us to 300. Even. Which still,
that is probably the closest, real number. For the past 5 years.
because it was still, this year will still be 128 short.
Yeah.
And last year will still be 50 short. So. It's getting closer. But it's relying less on free cash, which is diminishing, so.
If we do get the $2 million override, I'd like to see some go into Parks and Recs as well to maintain the parks that we have. And the bathrooms are nice, especially, soccer games and this and that. Sports events. Just be able to maintain the facility that they put a lot of money into getting those bathrooms opened.
Uh,
I'd like to make a motion, go past 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Motion made and seconded, work past 10 PM. On the motion, how would you vote, Mr. May?
Oh, why not?
Ms. Graves?
Yes,
Mr. Toth?
Yes.
Ms. Basso?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett is yes.
Okay. Okay. If I may.
No.
Okay. Be that way.
May.
If we do the $2 million override, I would like to suggest that we put aside at least, I don't know if you have the number, but it's 2,219,000 and some odd dollars for the school. Just to guarantee, just to put that on the table. You know, so that there's
219.
something.
Got that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I figured you had the back end number, I don't have it. Wait a minute, I can.
Is this the one? No, oh, we gotta add that difference, huh? Yeah,
This is.
yeah. I don't think it is.
So that's the one, the second,
Yeah,
revenue sheet.
yeah, but you gotta minus, yeah,
219, 682, 48.
on top of the other number.
682, right?
682, 48, yeah.
Oh, Mr. Ryan,
Yes,
uh. Two more figures for the the $2 million override.
okay,
We would increase snow and ice by 75,000.
okay,
And we would put towards the school a minimum of $219,682.48. We could increase that once we have the number for the general fund and snow and ice. I got rough numbers, but that's, yeah, I didn't do the, I guesstimated on the contractual junk and I'm would be off. Hey, what do you want?
So the Parks and Rec, could we increase that budget with 20,000? Basic maintenance.
I think we're almost, well, I don't know. close to While we're sitting here waiting,
So is that enough? The Parks and Recs for 20,000?
if it's. If it fits in there. I'm just looking where to get to a million. And I think we're like there now. Monday's meeting at the senior center. Just May, you make it,
Yes.
Ms. Graves,
Yeah.
I can make it,
I can make it
okay.
on time.
Mr. Tooth, you're a maybe, correct?
I may be late. I'll do my best to make it. I was hoping to get this wrapped up tonight so we can let advisory have their full evening to work their magic. And I know they've got to pull the voters guide together as well as the pre-town meeting, so giving them as much time as possible is really, really important.
Yeah, they had dollars to work, or at least some options.
So, Mr. Chair, am I putting Parks and Rec down as maybe if we can afford it?
I think we should.
Should we provide something for TCTV after Parks and Rec next? Because you know, their cut also has staff implications.
Let's see, Paul.
Thank you for,
Whatever you can do is appreciated.
was 10 that we went.
So we cut Parks and Rec pretty much down to absolutely nothing.
10 now, and 3 there.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Mm. We haven't heard from Bill. He's in the back. His phone Parks and Rec.
We didn't cut TCTV.
Did you want to say anything? At the chair, that's your.
Well, I'll make one general comment. There was something came up about the EMS building. I'm not that familiar with it, emergency management building. If in fact there's an office available at the upstairs in the senior center, which I believe might be between the storage room and the library, is that right? If that is available, the basement now has been cleaned out by Parks and Rec, by Ryan, and by the food pantry. So that basement, which is about 3 times the size of this room, is now 2/3 full as opposed to completely full. So the space above this size would be available if the EMS stuff would fit in there. I believe it is somewhat heated and cooled, not completely, but it's not below freezing. Pipes don't freeze in there, so just want to throw that out there, food for thought.
The thing we have to be careful or considerate of the senior center is when that land, there's restrictions on, from the get-go, what that land and building is supposed to be used for.
Well, the rec department has a waiver they got from the. It's in their records to show that they're.
Talking about, moving all kind of.
Oh, the other, I don't know if they have a waiver.
Point of order, can we stop interrupting and talking over each other, please? Thank you. The chair had the floor.
20. About we cut. So that is something that we have to be cognizant about. We just can't look at that as, well, that's a building, we got a lot of open space and we can fill it up with other stuff. Because of that caveat, it's in the, when it was transferred from hospital cottages and, it's built into the deed, and there's restrictions that were put in place, so it wouldn't get, overtaken by a lot of other things. I mean, I'm not saying something can't be worked out. I'm just saying we can't, look at that as, a big hole. Because for that space, there are, other things that were originally planned, in that building. They're slowly getting done. The kitchen was one, an elevator was another, a backup generator was another. And downstairs was gonna be, if there's an elevator can get in there, it's gonna be exercise and this and that. And it was also going to be used, emergency purposes, for the elderly in case it's warming or cooling or et cetera. Now to get, something to eat and things like that. So I know it's a nice little building and there's a lot of room in it, but, there are things that are written down in plans, for all that empty space to be taken up eventually. It's been a long time coming, but it's slowly but surely the list is getting worked off of.
The chair, I just had one other comment if I could. So I wasn't advocating for the space, I was just letting you know, we cleaned it up enough that there is a substantial amount available, should you guys need it for whatever. Whatever
Thank
the
you.
purpose is, so I wasn't advocating for that, I didn't care less about whether it came was
Well,
there.
just- It's not the first time that it's come up for, you know, a use, because, you know, people see the space there and it's a town building, however, there are certain things in place that,
Sure. My only other comment was, if we get zero budgeted out, as it looks like could be happening, right? Especially if we don't get the override. My biggest concern would be, the field maintenance for all of the baseball, softball fields. Right now, Narragansett uses it for middle school and high school games and practices 5 days a week. So we maintain those fields for them so they can adequately use them. If we end up getting zeroed out and don't get our labor, we actually had 2 part-timers. If we get none, we're probably looking at push our sports to just fall. Let them have the spring and then tell them, you know, cut your own grass and do what you gotta do, because we can't afford to, you know, keep it that way. So that's my only concern if we end up losing the labor. Altogether.
District has no problem with maintaining the field. We've said that from we have literally said that from the very beginning. Whatever needs to be cut, lined, whatever, we will, if we have athletics, we have no problem with doing that. So just so you know, there's no problem with it, with our own stuff and machines and.
Yeah, we also look
Ballers
into
or-
2 other parks as well, so that's the other issue, right? It's the field is one of the bigger
No,
ones.
I'm just talking about the fields, you're right, I don't.
Yeah, we have other locations that we cut grass for over at Helton Park and kind of field in different places, so those are at risk, you know, if we don't have a laborer.
okay, for the board. We said 20K for
Yes.
parks, okay, Mr. May on that,
Yes.
Ms. Graves,
Yeah,
consensus, Mr. Toth,
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Bessel, you said it,
Yes.
so I'll take that as a yes. So, Mr. Ryan,
Yes,
did you catch that? 20,
yep, 20 grand for Parks and Rec, yep.
okay,
TCTV is also funded just via their enterprise fund, so, don't know if the board wants to consider that as well.
Do they not also have, a pilot from the, Templeton Light and Water for 50,000? That's been promised to continue this year?
It's supposed to be used for capital. So we've been saving that in case we need capital items like a new TV server. So there's our 5,700 account is zeroed out for the budget.
Mr. Chair, I have to step away for a moment, I'll be back.
okay, you have permission. So. Thoughts on.
well,
Adding tax dollars to, an enterprise fund.
I think that we should at least pay the 6,000 something that is the community service director that's on their budget. At least pay that back out of tax dollars. Since we put her on there. So that's a little less that they can take out of theirs. I think that would be reasonable.
Mr. May,
I agree.
See what it was.
The 6,700 or whatever from
Yeah, the one that
Jackie's pay
Jackie's
that's
pay.
on there?
Yeah, cause she's a little bit
Sure.
senior center, the library and them. That's how she gets to where her number is.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I don't think it's,
Uh.
$6,179.
It should go like that to be able to.
I am back.
And does anybody have any feelings on, I think there was a Zoom one. And I think we use it more than. The board, for all our boards, we use it more than that. What's it, $150 that the subscription of Zoom.
We have a figure, well, and then we can place it for,
What was that?
The Zooms,
Sean Duffel Bill.
oh, Jackie's,
Yeah.
$6,179 for the community service director out of, on the cable TV, budget.
And if that's the only Zoom contract we have, I would be fine with going out on.
Yeah,
because like
I
that,
got $150.
I think that's what, Jill had said. Mr. Ryan? Is that the only Zoom contract that we have in town? Is TCTV carrying it?
I think. No, I think we have one that we use for our meetings and whatnot. I think it's in the IT budget. If you give me a moment, I'll look it up.
Okay. I must have misunderstood it.
Well, I'd go with Jackie's anyway.
Yeah.
Well, what about the internet service too? I think it's kind of important for them.
yeah, there's $510 for Zoom accounts. And
Yeah.
IT.
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
Okay. I had asked about it.
And I too.
I won't tell you why. I'm not using the personal one.
So we have I think it's $510 for Zoom accounts in the IT budget.
So you have a subscription to it, do you know? Because it's in the budget, doesn't mean you have the thing for it.
Yeah, no, we do. I've logged into the account before.
Okay, just checking. I must have misunderstood Jill when I asked her about it.
I think besides the 6179.
I was trying to see where the internet was. Like. Something that we use, like. No,
Should just be in her salary.
Right? Sure. The internet that Candace may be speaking of is the Comcast connection at the light department, which we did have to upgrade because the meeting streams were lagging. So we pay $580 a month for that building. Get back in service. That doesn't include a phone that's there because it's a security system.
That'd be $6,960 a year for the internet for that. But they would need to stream.
Mr. Toth, do you have anything?
Steve, is that off your 5,200 account? The phone internet service, 2 locations?
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Like us? So, anything beyond the 6179?
Oh, would you add for the internet? The 6,980 for the internet? Is that
On there.
I'm sorry?
It's there.
No, she just meant on the
Um,
2 million override to add it, to give them something. So giving them with the 6,170 something plus the number she just said. We'll put it. Well, that,
6,980 to cover the internet.
Gotcha.
That what, 52 or
It's, yeah, 5,200.
52?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It said that, the one location is 580 a month.
to be $13,139. Between the two things.
So can we find a, 51, 11? I just like even numbers.
Yeah.
Oh, you can do them.
Um, $61, 79 and 51, 48 and anything else?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Mr. Toth?
Mr. Chair, so is that a consensus to give money to TCTV?
Yes.
Yeah.
What was the total?
11,327.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Mr. Toth?
Mr. Castle, I apologize. I wasn't here Monday at the start of the meeting. Things got a little wonky at work. We got wrapped around the axle and I couldn't get out on time to get here for our start. I did go back and watch the first 7 minutes or so that I missed, and I was a little confused, and I did a little bit of research. You had made a comment that you were gonna reach out, I believe, to Senator Markey, looking for some other funding sources. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news to you, but I did a little bit of research on what I heard, and if I was wrong, I'll sit corrected. Back in November, the governor made a announcement about broadband initiatives, and they were gonna be connecting all 351 cities and towns in the state, and everybody's gonna be online. Well, we know that didn't happen. On February 8th of this year, she made another comment about it. Yep, it's coming. We're gonna be there. And then in March, she kind of pulled back on a little bit. May 16th, the federal funding was cut by $14.1 million to Massachusetts. The project came to a screeching halt. And there were some additional updates to that announced in June. So I wish you can continue with that. I think I already know what Senator Markey may say to you, but I would bid you good luck with it. I'm not saying it won't happen, but right now it's not looking likely.
Oh, it's not, if I may,
Oh, absolutely.
it's not looking likely anyways, but what I was talking about was a little bit different. in 1996, Congress redid the Telecommunications Act and allowed Comcast and cable companies to sell internet and phone service, and allow phone companies like Verizon to sell multi-channel video services like cable. But what they didn't do was change the funding mechanism for cable access TV stations. So we can only pull money from the cable TV side of it. If we could pull 5% from internet and phone, I wouldn't be asking that. We'd be all set. And that is something that they could change. It's been in the courts for about 10 or 15 years. A county in Maryland was suing to be able to do it. And the courts kept telling the FCC to go back and your rules aren't good enough, because the cable lobby would get the FCC to say, no, you can't go after these funds. And finally, the Supreme Court ruled on it and ruled against the lawsuits that were going on. So the only way to change it now would be to codify it through Congress. And I was in a webinar or something a year or two ago, and I asked a pointed question: is there any chance of this ever happening? And these experts, lobbyists and lawyers said, no, not unless there's a deadline. And that's why I haven't wasted my time on letters to Senator Markey, but maybe some are coming.
Understood, understood, and I'm not trying to say that I don't agree with trying to pursue it, but.
Yeah, it's probably a lost cause, but who knows, maybe someday they'll realize that they could do this, and you know, another thing to think about is there are lobbyists going around Washington right now trying to get the FCC to say, why are the cable companies even providing support for cable access if cable is dying? Let's get rid of it altogether. And believe me, the cable companies would love to do that. Because even though they pass through the charges from the subscribers, they have to do all the accounting. And they have to have community reps, and it's a whole division of their company that has to be devoted to that. So that's something to watch out. We could have zero funding like that.
It's another one of those, I wish I could wave the magic wand and fix it, but
Yeah,
like yourself, we can't.
yeah. And the fiber thing is an endless frustration to me, because we've been pretty much made technologically deficient from most of the rest of the state. Is these lines that go by here are for the towns west of us.
Yep.
Unless we want to pay a steep price to use them. And I think we should have a talk with our town council about that as well. Because that's an injustice to us and some other towns around here.
Noted. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. I appreciate it.
No, I do follow up on these.
Yeah.
I don't like what I find at times either.
Every morning.
Lately, I've been finding myself wide awake at night, and it's like,
Yeah.
I'm up, I might as well start doing some digging.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
so, is it worth us being here any longer? Are you going to have, the zero override general fund number for us, or is that gonna something you're gonna need tomorrow to accurately work out?
No, I need to do that tomorrow. Yeah, I can't do that now.
So
And the two
that would
million.
complete all.
I'm sorry,
those-
I thought you're talking about the 2 million, like all this math right here?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, no, I need to do that tomorrow. Yeah. I thought you said the zero override budget for a second.
all the above.
Well,
Probably.
currently
I might
right
not be
now,
right.
your zero override budget stands at a surplus of 61,128.
So I guess we earned our keep this year. Maybe. So, do you need anything further from us?
No, I'll work on the math on, these ads for the 2 million tomorrow and get that to you, before the end of the day, so you have it on the weekend to look at.
If you want from the board have anything else? So at this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Well, that's so.
Motion made to